Can we break through this testimony?
Thank you for letting me do this, Prosecutor Edgeworth. And thank you, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Blackwell, for letting the truth be known. Now we can finally move forward, and everyone's suffering can come to an end.
Athena. Prosecutor Blackwell will be cleared, and the dark age of the law can come to an end. Yes, admit your guilt and bring everything to its conclusion.
I killed my mother. My memory's still a little hazy, but there's no question I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands and the feeling of it stabbing in deep. And I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers. Your Honor, please find me guilty.
I dare say these are all memories that no one but the murderer would have.
I see. Thank you for your confession. I believe this trial has gone on long enough. But before we conclude, does anyone have a counter-argument? Anyone at all?
Objection!
I don't really. I just wanted to say objection. I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright!
But, Mr. Wright, why? I killed her. I remember it now. Any counter-argument now is pointless.
Objection!
I'm objecting again. I object to your objection to my objection. Don't tell me you've forgotten one of the basic tenets of lawyering. Always believe in the client to the bitter end. Athena, you are not a murderer.
Objection!
I said that you never changed, but could you have actually regressed in these 8 years? I won't stand for your childish emotionalism getting in the way of the truth. Emotionalism? Don't lecture me on matters of the heart, Edgeworth. Because I can see straight into a person's soul. Somehow. Oh, the Magatama! I can see! I can see the blackness.
I did a little research. I looked into the special cyclocks you mentioned, Mr. Nick. Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
We gotta break down the locks. There's still a chance, somewhere deep in Athena's heart. There might still be a memory that not even she knows about yet. It might be like looking for a grain of sand somewhere in the cosmos. But still, that memory might contain a new fact that could prove her innocence.
I hope for everyone's sake that you are not just bluffing, Mr. Wright. Now then, is there or is there not a problem with Miss Cykes' confession?
My memory's still a little hazy, but there's no question I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands and the feeling of it stabbing in deep. And I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers.
There's definitely something wrong with her memory of the event. I can just tell.
If there's a problem with her confession, please prove it to this court now.
I actually think that she didn't get blood on her hands. Potentially. Do we have a picture of that? Let's see. Medicine's autopsy report. Instant death due to a stab wound to the heart. Oh yeah, the katana didn't go in that deep and didn't get on her hands.
Take that!
I think it's the katana.
Isn't that the katana the defendant used to kill the victim, Mr. Wright?
I respectfully and vehemently disagree, Your Honor.
But I remember it! I remember holding the weapon and getting blood on my fingers!
That's exactly my point. If blood really did get on your fingers while you were holding it, there should be blood on the handle. But please focus on the handle of this sword. There's not a trace of blood on it. And therefore, this is clearly a contradiction of the facts.
You're right?
Oh my!
Objection!
The defendant must have simply confused a portion of her memories. She mentioned it was hazy to begin with, and we can't mull over every minor detail.
Objection!
But she also said there's no question I remember it, a fact we can't ignore. In that case, why don't you explain what this contradiction with her memories means? Gladly! Just give me a sec to think of something that I can lie about that seems plausible. I wanted to say that Athena didn't stab anyone, but she said herself that she remembers the feeling of committing the act. Think, Phoenix, think! What could the contradiction with Athena's memories mean? The defendant used a different weapon. There's gotta be. This is the only one that makes sense with the train of thought we're going with. Miss Cykes said blood flowed down the handle, but the katana's handle is spotless. So, doesn't it follow that the defendant must have used a weapon other than the katana? What are you up to this time? This is it. This time, I found just the thing to end Athena's nightmare for good. The weapon that took Dr. Cykes' life was the katana. That much is for sure. So if I can show a possibility that Athena didn't use the katana, it could help me prove her innocent.
A different weapon, you say? What weapon would that be exactly?
Right. Of course he would ask that. I can see you're floundering, Mr. Wright. Did you speak without thinking again, as always? How does he do that? But I can't back down. Not here. Not now. That's right. I did. Because it's so obvious it doesn't require any thought. What did you say? Okay, so maybe that was an exaggeration. But there has to be something. Was there some other bladed weapon in the robotics lab that day? Maybe there's something in one of the crime scene photos. Wait a minute. There is something. There's a high probability that that was in the lab. I don't have that particular weapon here in evidence right now, but I do have a piece of evidence just like it. Other than the katana, this is another blade that may have been at the crime scene. A utility knife that a lot of Space Center techs have. Right? Yeah? Right? Yeah? Niffe, niffe, niffe?
Take that!
But that's the murder weapon in the clay Terran case.
Yes, this is the knife that took Mr. Terran's life. But there must have been a knife just like this at the scene 7 years ago as well. Toolkits containing utility knives like this one are issued to Space Center employees, and a robotics lab especially would naturally have one of these around.
Objection!
But besides the katana, no other bladed weapon was found at the site. It was in the investigation report, if you didn't know.
Objection!
Of course I knew that, once you told me just now.
Then here's something else you already knew. There was a toolkit at the scene, but it didn't contain any blades. Here's a photo of its contents.
But it's clearly missing. Look, they're out of order. It spells Gayaxa.
You're right. I don't see any kind of bladed tool. There's an Allen wrench. And some screwdrivers.
Fine, but isn't there something odd about the design of these handles?
Therefore, there was no other bladed weapon in the room.
Objection!
I disagree. This toolkit contained a knife.
And what proof do you have of that?
Can I solve the puzzle? Do I get to, just... No, I don't. Don't tell me your eye for art is failing you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You are the last person in the world who should be criticizing my aesthetic sense. You wear a simple necktie. I have a fliffy floofy floof. And that's how you know I have a better aesthetic sense.
Now, he's simply watching out for your ocular health. Please proceed, Mr. Wright.
Notice that the handles of each of these tools have a sort of design on them.
I see that. They do. But what significance does that have?
It's clear that one of the tools is missing from this kit. If we rearrange the tools into a specific pattern, we might be able to tell which part of the overall design is missing. Is that a theory your pitiful sense of aesthetics helped you come up with? Edgeworth, just let it go, man. Just let it go. Show the court, then, if you would. What pattern or design would we see if we were to rearrange the tools? It would be Gyaxa, right? Do I present the label there? I feel like that's the name. Let's just save it, just to make sure. This is one of those things where I know what it is, but I don't know necessarily which thing they want me to present. But this looks like the logo.
Take that!
And what design is this supposed to represent?
The Gyaxa logo, Your Honor. It's on all the Space Center's documents and pamphlets. As you're aware, Gyaxa is the program that operates the Cosmos Space Center. Look at how brightly the Gyaxa logo shines in the sunlight above the entranceway. I really dig the stars and rocket motif it's got going. Gyaxa, huh? Isn't that the new name of the Federal Space R&D program?
I think I see it now, but...
Yes, with just the tools shown in this photo. We're missing the rocket. The red A part of the logo is missing. And this is where the murder weapon from the Terran case comes into play. If we were to place the utility knife in the open slot, it would complete the Gyaxa logo.
So it would. Then that means...
Admit it, Mr. Edgeworth. My aesthetic sense is keener than yours, and while you're at it, admit that the weapon Miss Cykes used could have been this one, and that your floofy floof, or cravat, is dumb and stupid and you're dumb. No! How did they arrange the tools in the photo? They used Potato Shop, obviously.
Order in the court!
Miss Cykes confessed to having a memory of stabbing the victim. Admittedly, Miss Cykes most likely did stab someone using the utility knife. However, the weapon used to kill Dr. Cykes was the katana. Therefore, the act of stabbing that Miss Cykes remembers couldn't be that of Dr. Cykes. Very well. Let's suppose, for a minute, that Miss Cykes did use the utility knife. Tell me, how does that change anything? Come again? What if the katana was only being used as a decoy to conceal the true murder weapon? What if the real weapon that took the victim's life was the utility knife? Don't be ridiculous, or are you changing the premise of your entire argument? I'm merely offering a hypothetical situation derived from your logic. Miss Cykes could have put blood on the katana to make it look like the murder weapon, and then concealed the knife on her personage until Blackwell carried her away. But she wasn't intentionally murdering, she thought she was fixing her mom. You can't both naively accidentally kill your mother and also have like a really clever cover-up going on.
That does clear up the contradiction between Miss Cykes' memories and the evidence.
If in fact the murder weapon is a utility knife, then fate has dealt you a cruel hand. For you have just proven the knife's existence to the rest of us with your own logic.
Objection!
The prosecution's attempting to lead the court.
Objection!
You're the one attempting to lead the court, Mr. Wright, by forcing us to forget the facts of this case. Need I remind you that there were only 2 people in the lab at the time of the murder, and that the defendant herself recalls stabbing someone with her own hands? No. It matters not whether the murder weapon was a katana or a utility knife, as long as we know that the victim and the defendant were the only ones there. You cannot escape the fact that it was Athena Cykes who killed her own mother. I don't believe it! Why? Why does this keep happening? Every time I find a contradiction that vanishes and the suspicion keeps coming back. Edgeworth! It's almost as if. Now you're finally starting to get it. Your contradictions keep vanishing because the charge is true. And the suspicion keeps coming back to the defendant because that's where it belongs. Phoenix writes, when will you open your eyes and accept the truth? I don't want to believe it. It can't be true. But what if...
Mr. Wright, you fought a good fight. I think you've done all you can do.
No. Is giving up really the only option? Athena. No. Snap out of it, Phoenix. What's the matter with you? Giving in a doubt. I can't look back. Forward is the only way to go. No, Your Honor, not yet. It isn't over yet. Right. I can't lose sight of what's important. I believe in Athena, and I'll always believe in her, to the very end. A defense lawyer never gives up on his client. I have to pick myself up and stand firm. Make that brain of yours work, Phoenix! If I don't see a way, I'll just have to go back and look for one. Time to rethink this case thoroughly. Laser brain time! I concede the fact that Athena must have stabbed someone with a utility knife. This must have been what Ponko witnessed as Athena's hug. But Prosecutor Blackwell didn't see the knife at the scene. This means that someone must have removed it from the lab before he arrived. Who could have taken the utility knife from the lab? Neither. Someone else did it, because Metis, she's dead at the time, and Athena doesn't have the wherewithal to actually do it. Somebody else was there. We gotta work our way towards the spy, a third person at the scene. If I trust in Athena, then I have to conclude there was a third person at the scene. But according to Ponko's testimony, Athena and her mother were the only two there, except that they only recognized people by their barcodes. So how did this person manage to escape Ponko's detection? I know this person was a full Ponko's facial recognition feature by covering their own face or the victim's face. Person hid their face. They were a ninja. But wait a minute. Ponko has a heartbeat detection system too. Even if they covered their own face, Ponko would have still detected their presence. But she wouldn't have been able to tell who they were. Wait, that's it. The culprit could have covered their face and posed as which person to avoid detection. They were disguised as Athena Cykes. The person posed as the victim, covering their face and using the jacket. If the culprit posed as the victim, that would explain why Ponko thought only she and Athena were there. All they had to do was take advantage of Ponko's basic recognition features. The culprit used this in order to pose as the victim, her jacket, that had the barcode on it. The culprit could have posed as the victim by wearing her jacket with the ID tag on it. But that still leaves the heartbeat detection system. How did the culprit get around that? It wouldn't have worked if Ponko could detect the real Dr. Cykes' heartbeat too. Does that mean the real Dr. Cykes was already dead by that time? If that's the case, then who did Athena stab? She stabbed the real culprit. She was defending her mom. Athena stabbed the real culprit. That's it. The person Athena stabbed wasn't Dr. Cykes. It was the person who murdered her and then pretending to be her. The real culprit. Now that Mr. Wright has finally finished thinking and destroying what was left of the courtroom with the lasers coming out of his ears, let us bring this to a swift end. Please give us your verdict, Your Honor, so that we can move on to hostage negotiations.
You're absolutely right, Prosecutor Edgeworth. I hereby...
Objection! I object. Objection. I didn't say I was finished. I was only pausing for several minutes to think. Because I realized something so shocking. I had to take a break to digest it. But now, I know for a fact that Miss Cykes is innocent.
But Paco saw me. She witnessed the moment of the crime.
Yes, Pongo did witness something. She saw the hug. In other words, the moment you used the utility knife. But the person you stabbed wasn't your mother.
What are you saying, Mr. Wright?
The answer is simple. The person Miss Cykes stabbed was a third person posing as Dr. Cykes.
What?
Objection!
Do you really expect us to swallow that, Mr. Wright? According to the robot's statements, there was no third person there. Did you really think I wouldn't see through your ludicrous grab for time?
Objection!
After all we've been through, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm disappointed. Don't you know by now that this smile of mine means I have absolute confidence? Ha, you make that pose all the time, regardless of the facts. Klonko's strange malfunction.
Mr. Terran, you look pale. Shall I help you to the sickbay?
Mr. Terran? But that's Apollo you're talking to.
Oh, this hunk of junk here is mistaking Apollo for Clay. Maybe Apollo is possessed by Clay's ghost.
That was another case of mistaken identity caused by a jacket ID tag. All because Klonko couldn't read Apollo's facial features due to that eye patch. They thought they can't tell when someone's a mummy pirate. Like Mr. Edgeworth said, a mask could nullify the robot's facial recognition. And then, all the person would have to do is wear a jacket with the victim's ID tag to pose as her.
Objection!
Of all the ridiculous theories, what good would a silly disguise like that do? Have you forgotten that the robot also has a heartbeat detection system? If there was a third person at the scene, the robot would have detected them. I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth, but that doesn't count for much, I'm afraid. Because, by that time, Dr. Cykes' heart had already stopped beating.
What? So, does that mean...
Yes, Your Honor. The person Miss Cykes stabbed, this third person who was posing as Dr. Cykes, is her mother's real killer. But that's... impossible!
A mask. The person I stabbed was wearing a mask.
Order in the court. Miss Cykes, did you say something?
A mask. Yes. I remember.
Athena, what is it?
I remember a man with a mask. How could he? What did he do to my mother? My head.
Miss Cykes, are you alright?
No!
The Black Cyclops. They're breaking. Oh, this might not go well. Are you okay, Athena?
It's all coming back to me. Everything that happened the day my mother was murdered.
They're gone. The Black Cyclops are finally gone. You didn't really stab your mother, did you? It's all right, Athena. Just tell us what you saw that day.
I was drawing a picture. When I was done, I went to show it to my mom. I opened the door, and then...
It's all right. I'm right here. You're safe, Athena.
She was on the floor by the workbench with the katana sticking out of her. There was a handkerchief over her face, but I knew it was her by her clothes. And there was a man there.
A man?
Quiet, Your Honor. This is no time for your shenanigans. Go on, Athena.
He tried to attack me in a panic. I grabbed the knife that was there and... He dodged it first, so I only got his clothes. But I tried again.
And this time you got him, didn't you?
I did. I remember it clearly now. The knife went into the back of his hand. Then he kicked me and I passed out. When I came to, my mom wasn't moving. I had to do something. I had to fix her. I thought... So, I asked Polyco to move her to the operating table. Something's wrong with Mom. So, I'm taking her apart to fix her.
So that's why she said that. Your Honor, as you can see, the defendant has just given us critical new testimony. A man was there before Miss Cykes arrived, a man who covered the victim's face and put on the victim's jacket is the real culprit.
Miss Cykes, do you have any idea who this man was?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
A few moments ago, Miss Cykes mentioned a mask. Athena, can you tell us anything else about that?
Yes, the mask. It was my mom's Japanese theater mask. I think it was the one hanging on the wall of the lab.
Ah, this mask hanging there on the wall.
It was kind of spooky, that mask. My mom used to tell me that a no mask even has the power to turn an ordinary human being into a phantom.
Phantom?
It would seem that a new suspect has emerged. And that means that all suspicion against Miss Cykes has...
Hold it. Hold it?
You see, this is precisely why I can't trust the court system. Athena Cykes is the murderer. I won't accept any other verdict.
Miss Blackwell, ooh, this is not good.
A new suspect? Where's the proof this person ever existed? Who says it wasn't all just a dream and the little princess's groggy little head?
She's right. We don't have any hard evidence of the masked man's existence.
Objection!